Hello and welcome to this new chapter on pair of linear equations in two variables. Now as you can see, the name of a chapter is too long and it's trying to run off the screen. So in all the coming videos, we are going to call this chapter as linear equations only. But what we have to keep in mind is that we'll be talking about linear equations only in two variables like we did in our previous class. And also we'll talk about a pair of them. And you'll shortly see why is that. Now from our previous class, we know how to represent a situation, a real life situation in forms of equations. Let's quickly have a look. Let's say you went out to the market and you have 20 rupees with you. And you want to buy some pencils and some erasers. Now when you go to the stationery shop, the guy tells you that a pencil will cost you rupees 3. Right? So each pencil costs rupees 3, while each eraser would cost you rupees 4. And what is the other condition that we know? We know that you have 20 rupees in all. So the total amount that you have is 20 bucks. Now how do you represent this situation in a form of an equation? I'm sure you remember you took x to represent the number of pencils. Then you took y to represent the number of erasers. Then you said the cost of pencils that you bought would be 3 times x because every pencil costs 3 rupees and you have x number of pencils. So the money that you paid for pencils would be 3 multiplied with x. While the money that you paid for erasers would be rupees 4 multiplied by the number of erasers that you have, that is y. So rupees 4 times y. And the sum of these two should be equal to 20. Now to write that in the form of an equation, you would say that 3 times x plus 4 times y, this is the sum that you paid for pencils, this is the sum that you paid for erasers, is equal to the total money that you had, that was rupees 20. So this here is a linear equation in two variables. You might also remember that to write the general form of a linear equation in two variables, you said it would be of the form ax plus by plus c equal to 0, where a and b both cannot be 0 at the same time. Rings a bell? I'm sure it must. Now here we have represented a situation in the form of a linear equation in two variables. It says that you bought x number of pencils for 3 rupees and you bought y number of erasers for 4 rupees and the total sum that you paid was rupees 20. We also saw that this linear equation in two variables will have infinite number of solutions. That is, you could either buy 0 pencils and 5 erasers, so x could be 0 and y could be 5. So this would give you 0 and 4 times 5 would be 20 and this would actually satisfy your equation. Or we said that 0, 5 would be a solution of this equation. And there would be multiple such solutions. Right then. But what if we had another situation to go along with this? What if your father had told you that you have to get exactly 6 pieces of stationery? That is, together, the number of pencils and erasers should be equal to 6. So that would give rise to another equation. So what we are saying is that the number of pencils, that is x, plus the number of erasers, that is y, should be equal to 6. Now this is another equation that we have, which is x plus y equals 6. This is also a linear equation and that too in two variables. And since that is the case, we would again have infinite number of solutions for this particular equation. Since we have two linear equations to work with, this together is called a pair of linear equations and it is also known as a system of linear equations. Now we will try and look at how to find out the solutions for a system of linear equations in this particular chapter. And it's going to be very, very interesting. Trust me. So let's lay down what would be the agenda for this chapter. Right then, first up, we'll look at what do we actually mean by solutions of a system of linear equations. Then we'll talk about the graphical method to find out the solutions of a system of linear equations. Then we'll move on to the algebraic methods, under which we'll have three methods that we'll majorly talk about. The first one would be the substitution method, then the elimination method, and finally the cross multiplication method. And the last concept that we'll look at in this chapter would be about equations which are reducible to a pair of linear equations in two variables. So they will initially not be a pair of linear equations, but then we'll try and reduce them into a pair of linear equations and then work with them to find their solutions. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun studying this chapter. Happy learning!